Cerebral palsy. In 1980s, cerebral palsy was known as cerebral paralysis or little disease because the first description about cerebral palsy was given by an English surgeon named John Little. Cerebral palsy, the word originated from two words, cerebral and palsy. Cerebral means cerebrum, that is a Latin word which is the affected part of the brain in this disorder. Palsy originated from two Greek words namely para, beyond, lysis, loosening. The word means lack of muscle control. Cerebral means cerebrum, palsy means lack of muscle control. Coming to definition, according to Hockenberry and Wilson, cerebral palsy or CP is a group of permanent disorder of development of movement and posture causing activity limitation. It is a group of permanent disorder. It affects the development of movement and posture resulting in chronic activity limitation or lifelong activity limitation. Another definition, it is a term used for a group of non-progressive disorder of movement and posture caused by abnormal development of damage to motor centers of the brain. It is a group of non-progressive or permanent disorder again of movement and posture, and it is caused by damage to motor control centers in the brain. Coming to incidence of this disorder, the prevalence rate is about 4% per 1000 live birth. 10% of infants born 1000 gram or 1 kg less at birth may have this disorder. In case of preterm children, the incidence is 5% to 10%. Then in birth asphyxia, it is seen in nearly 3 to 21% of cases. Coming to etiology or causes of CP in children. It is categorized into prenatal, perinatal and postnatal causes. Prenatal causes, the first category is maternal diseases. Some of the maternal diseases that can result in CP include diabetes, hyperthyroidism, exposure to radiation or toxins, malnutrition, cognitive impairment or seizures in the mother, infection, incompetent cervix, bleeding, polyhydramnios, genetic abnormalities, previous child with developmental disabilities, previous premature birth, medication use like thyroid, estrogen or progesterone, and severe proteinuria during pregnancy. Coming to the pregnancy related causes or the fetus related causes are chromosomal abnormality, genetic syndrome, teratogen affecting the fetal development, Rh incompatibility, congenital malformation, other fetal developmental abnormality, problems in placenta and inflammatory response. Coming to causes during labor and delivery, premature delivery, prolonged rupture of membrane, fetal heart rate depression, abnormal presentation of the fetus, long labor, preeclampsia or hypertension during pregnancy or at the time of childbirth, asphyxia, that is a breathing impairment. Coming to perinatal causes in the newborn soon after delivery. It include prematurity and associated problem, sepsis or CNS infection, seizure, intraventricular hemorrhage, periventricular hemorrhage, meconium aspiration, number of days on mechanical ventilation, persistent pulmonary hypertension, intrauterine growth restriction, and low birth weight. Prenatal causes are diseases of the mother and diseases affecting the fetus. Perinatal causes are the various diseases or disorders or conditions affecting the newborn. Coming to postnatal causes or childhood problem. Brain injury, meningitis or encephalitis, toxins or poisoning, traumatic brain injury, infection and stroke. The protective factors of CP, magnesium sulfate during pregnancy, antibiotics and the use of corticosteroids during pregnancy. Coming to classification of cerebral palsy. There are two categories of classification. One is according to severity and the other is according to motor impairment. Already we have seen the motor function of the child will be affected or there will be loss of muscle control. So according to the severity and according to the loss of motor control, cerebral palsy is classified. First one, according to severity, there is mild, moderate and severe CP. In mild cerebral palsy, that is around 20% of cases, the patients are ambulatory and they have fine movement impairment only. In moderate cases, that is about 50% of cases, the children achieve ambulation by self-help. No additional help is required. They can help themselves or with the supported devices they are able to move. There is impaired gross motor, fine motor and speech development. In case of severe palsy that affect 30% of children, the child will have multiple defects and unable to perform usual activities of daily living, or the child will be bedbound. Coming to types of cerebral palsy according to motor involvement. There is regional part affected, that is regional involvement, or the total body involvement. Total body function will be lost or some part of the motor function will be low. That is one category. Another category is spastic, dyskinetic and ataxic. Then the same thing can be again classified into pyramidal or extrapyramidal. So according to motor involvement, there can be regional or global or spastic, dyskinetic and ataxic or pyramidal and extrapyramidal. Coming to first type according to motor involvement, spastic. It is also called pyramidal. Characterized by persistent primitive reflexes, that is normal newborn reflexes normally appear by 4 months of age. If it is beyond the age of appearance, it will persist beyond the age of disappearance, that is called persistent primitive reflexes. Then presence of positive Babinski reflex, then angle clonus on reflex elicitation, exaggerated stretch reflex on reflex elicitation and contracture development. These are all signs of spastic cerebral palsy. Then this type is again categorized into hemiplegia, diplegia, tetraplegia, triplegia, monoplegia and paraplegia. Hemiplegia is motor dysfunction loss on one side of the body. Diplegia means all extremities are affected but lower extremities are affected than upper one. Tetraplegia, all 4 extremities are equally involved. Then triplegia, 3 extremities are paralyzed. Monoplegia, 1 extremity is paralyzed. Paraplegia, that is purely paralysis of lower extremities. Hemiplegia, one side of the body. Diplegia, all extremities are affected but lower is more affected than the upper. Tetraplegia, all 4 extremities equally affected. Triplegia, 3 extremities affected equally. Monoplegia, 1 extremity will be affected. Paraplegia, lower extremities are affected. This is the image. This is the monoplegia. Yellow color is the abnormal area. Monoplegia, only 1 extremity. Hemiplegia, one side of the body. Diplegia, lower part of the body. Quadriplegia, all 4 limbs are affected. In diplegia, affect either both arms or both legs. Any 2 extremities are affected. The second type is dyskinetic cerebral palsy. It is also called extrapyramidal type. It includes varieties of manifestation related to movement. One is adaptoid movement. It involves chorea, that is involuntary, irregular, jerking movements characterized by slow, worm-like writhing movement. When you touch a worm, how it moves, the child will move like that. That is called a adaptoid movement, or simply we will say worm-like movement. It includes movement of the extremities, trunk, neck, facial muscle and trunk. Almost every time the child will be moving like a worm involving the extremities, trunk, neck, facial muscle and trunk. That is called adaptoid. Then dystone. It means slowly twisting movements of the tongue or extremities. Slow twisting movement. It is a worm-like movement. Dystonia is nothing but twisting movements. Then also there will be involvement of pharyngeal and oral muscle causing drooling and dysarthria, that is imperfect speech articulation. This is example of dyskinetic movement. That is most of the time the child will be moving the head, upper extremity, lower extremity, etc. That is adaptoid or worm-like movement. The third type is atasic type. It is also called atonic type or extrapyramidal CP or non-spastic CP. There will be wide-based gait. Then rapid repetitive movement performed poorly. Then disintegration of movement of upper extremities when the child reaches for objects. The child will be walking with a wide-based gait, the feet placed two apart, but they cannot walk in a straight line. Loss of balance can be seen here. In this image, you can see the part of the brain damaged in CP. In spastic CP, motor cortex or cerebral cortex is affected, because of which the muscles become stiff and tight. That is the most common type, 70 to 80%. In the dyskinetic type, it affects involuntary movement because the damage is in the basal ganglia. That is 6%. Then atactic type, that is shaky movement or loss of balance because it affects the cerebellum. Then also there will be mixed type. It is combination of any of these three. Coming to clinical manifestation. The early signs of CP include asymmetric movement, that is no symmetry of movement or absence of symmetry of movement on both sides of the body, restlessness of the child, irritability in the child, feeding difficulty, swallowing difficulty or poor sucking in the child, poor head control, tongue thrust or protruding of tongue, excessive high-pitched cry, slow weight gain. Coming to late signs of CP, delayed gross motor development. The child will not sit, stand or prone position when it is normally achieved. Then persistent infantile reflexes, that is persistence of normal primitive reflexes beyond the age of disappearance. Weakness involving different part of the body, abnormal postures, drooling of saliva, recurrent infection, malocclusion of teeth, constipation, dental caries, delayed or defective speech, and evidence of mental retardation. Coming to behavioral signs, extreme irritability or crying, feeding difficulty, little interest in the surrounding, and excessive sleeping. Diagnostic test in CP, physical examination, history, neurological assessment, MRI, ultrasound, and CT. Also, it may include EEG, EMG or electromyogram, laboratory studies to detect blood clotting and the screening for genetic or metabolic problem, additional tests including vision impairment testing or hearing testing, speech delay testing, intellectual ability testing, and other developmental or movement disorder assessment. Coming to treatment. Therapy can involve or if the therapy can help a child with cerebral palsy to enhance functional ability. So the therapy is only symptomatic and preventive. We cannot cure cerebral palsy. Only we can improve the quality of life with the appropriate symptomatic and preventive treatment. The broad aims of treatment include to establish locomotion, communication, and self-help. The movement is affected or the posture is affected in this disorder. So the one of the primary aim is establish locomotion, communication, and self-help. Then to gain optimum appearance and integration of motor function. To correct associated defect if present. To provide educational opportunity according to the ability of the child. And to promote socialization experience with the other unaffected children. One essential mode of treatment is physical therapy. It is directed toward good skeletal alignment. It includes or it uses orthotic devices such as braces, cast, and splint to support and improve walking. Continuous physical therapy improves child strength, flexibility, balance, motor development, and mobility. Second is occupational therapy. It uses alternative strategies and adaptive equipment to promote child's independent participation in daily activities and routines at home, school, and community. improve the activities of daily living is the aim of occupational therapy. It uses adaptive equipment like walkers, quadrupedal canes, seating system, or electric wheelchairs. Next is speech and language therapy. It improves the child's ability to speak clearly or communicate using sign language. Recreation therapy, it helps improve child's motor skill, speech and emotional well-being. These are some of the assistive devices used by a child with cerebral palsy. Coming to pharmacotherapy, different drugs are used for symptomatic control. Diazepam for spasticity, strychnine for hypotonicity, levodopa for atherosclerosis or abnormal or valve-like movement, carbamazepine for dystonia, anticonvulsant for seizure, tranquilizers for behavioral problem, and muscle relaxant to improve muscular function. Coming to surgical management, surgery is used to correct various problems with the bones and joints by lengthening any muscle and tendon that are too short or causing problem. It includes orthopedic surgery, example tendon transfer, muscle lengthening, correction of spinal deformities. Another type of surgery is called as selective dorsal rhizotomy or SDR. It is a surgical procedure that can help children with the severe muscle stiffness. Ultimately, it helps to improve their walking. This operation involves cutting of some nerves in the lower spinal column, which can relieve leg stiffness. By cutting away or by severing some of the nerves that supply or that causes leg stiffness, resulting in loosening of muscles, because no communication will be sent to those muscles since the nerves are cut. That will result in relief of stiffness so the child can walk freely. Third is gastrostomy to improve feeding. Here is the image of selective dorsal rhizotomy. This is a nerve root that causes stiffness. So that is severed or that is cut away. It is a sensory branch. So no message will be communicated to muscles. So the muscle will be free for movement. This is the image of gastrostomy. And recent advance is the stem cell treatment. Nursing intervention for a child with CP include assessment of abnormal muscle tone, achievement of milestone, and persistence of neonatal reflexes. Reinforcement of the therapeutic plan and assist the family in devising and modifying equipment and activities. Encourage parents to alleviate their concern. Ensure adequate nutritional and calorie intake. Monitor body weight. Assistance and advise parents to administration of medication through gastrostomy tube if there is. Teach the family about the feeding through gastrostomy tube, then encourage them about routine immunization to prevent infection, and also educate the family about family-centered care and refer them to CP support groups. Here you can see some of the images of children with the CP. This is the impairment with the activities of daily living. This is the appearance of a child in sitting. Here the child is standing. See the stiff extremities. Usually, the cases of CP, the children are not mentally retarded. Only they have problems with the posture and movement. In summary, cerebral palsy is not so rare. It is caused by brain damage. There are different kinds and varying degree. It messes the muscle. The muscle can be too tight or too loose. The muscle stiffness can be different in different day. There is no cure. It does not disable the personality or it does not cause mental retardation usually. And we should not feel bad for people with the cerebral palsy. World Cerebral Palsy Day is the first Wednesday of October every year. This is the end of this video. Thanks for watching.